I am Christian. That's not what we stand for. And so being with you during Pride Month, getting to sing the words to "You Need to Calm Down."
Wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man.
By a bunch of childless cat ladies.
I'm done. I don't want to be a childless cat lady like her.
Screw you, Taylor Swift.
There will be people who are apostate.
Taylor Swift is probably the most influential music artist in the United States, with millions of followers who are obsessed with everything she says and does. But is Taylor a force for good or for evil? Let's take a look at what Taylor herself says, and what other people say about Taylor, and then come to a conclusion about what Christians should think about Taylor Swift. Here's Taylor Swift revealing that she identifies as a Christian while sharing her thoughts about politics.
We've not got involved with politics or religion.
Yeah, but this is on the home front.
Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And
the right side of history. Those words have basically come to represent policies that are opposed to biblical Christianity, most notably the celebration of the LGBTQ movement, which we'll see Taylor talk a lot more about later in the video.
I just really want you to know that this is important to me. It really is a big deal. She votes against fair pay for women. She votes against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which is just basically protecting us from domestic abuse and stalking. It's really basic human rights, and it's right and wrong at this point.
Taylor is talking about Senator Marsha Blackburn, one of the most conservative members of Congress. Marsha's positions are basically about small government and religious freedom, and there is a way to view those policies in a way that probably isn't as radical as Taylor is making them out to be.
And I can't see another commercial and see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we stand for.
Taylor says, "I am Christian," which is pretty shocking considering the kinds of behavior she promotes and celebrates, which we'll continue to see throughout the rest of this video. Here's Megyn Kelly sharing her thoughts about Taylor Swift and what Taylor promotes and stands for.
Screw you, Taylor Swift. That's how I would like to begin. But she says the reason she's voting for Kamala Harris is because of Tim Walz's LGBTQ stance. Do you know what Tim Walz has done on the LGBTQ front? Well, here's what's gonna happen. A little girl is going to find herself down a rabbit hole on Reddit. Reddit's gonna tell her she's actually a boy, and she's gonna get sucked into this gender cult, and she's gonna say, "Mom and Dad, I want puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones," which will sterilize her. And they're gonna say, "No, you're a girl." And she's gonna say, "But I want top surgery, this benign thing, this double mastectomy where I'll have tubes coming out of me and I'll never breastfeed a child. I want that too." And they're gonna say no. And she's gonna go to a judge in Minnesota, and because of Tim Walz, the court will take custody of her, use the Medicaid funds in Minnesota to provide her all of those things, chop off her breasts, sterilize her with the puberty blockers and the cross-sex hormones. And when this girl inevitably comes to the conclusion that she didn't want any of this, that it only added to her problems, which were the divorce and the acne and the puberty and not any trans issue, who is she gonna go to then? This is all because of Tim Walz. That's what Minnesota is doing right now to little girls and boys, taking custody away from the parents so that they can have these procedures without any loving parent there to help. And that's what Taylor Swift just endorsed for your children. So screw you, Taylor Swift.
Thank you for saying that.
Taylor is a big supporter of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and in particular Tim's LGBTQ stance. Tim's administration has promoted policies that expand access to what they call gender-affirming care for minors, including puberty blockers and hormone treatments, which puts vulnerable youth at risk. These policies aimed at protecting rights, have faced backlash for potentially sidelining parental involvement and allowing significant medical decisions to be made without parental consent. Opponents contend that the administration's approach prioritizes medical interventions over comprehensive mental health support, potentially leading young people to undergo irreversible procedures. By focusing on facilitating medical access, Walz's policies undermine parental rights. These are the kinds of policies that Taylor Swift supports, and this is why Megyn Kelly has come out so strongly against Taylor. Regarding Taylor's endorsement of Tim Walz, here's what she posted on Instagram about who she would endorse for the presidential election. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she is a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ+ rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do, and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I'll link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, Childless Cat Lady. So Taylor's biggest priorities include the right to end the lives of preborn human babies and the promotion and celebration of the LGBTQ community, which stands against biblical Christianity. We'll get to more of what she says about the LGBTQ community later, but first, I think it's worth talking a little about her sign-off, Childless Cat Lady. Taylor's sign-off, Childless Cat Lady, was a reference to Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, who set off a firestorm of controversy when he said this about childless cat ladies.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. If you look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
In the Bible, God commands people to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth, and says that marriage and children are blessings that people should pursue unless they have a calling to be celibate. A lot of people are saying that it's perfectly fine for women to just want to pursue a career and to not be interested in marriage or children. But from the perspective of a Christian worldview, this is a very dangerous ideology to be promoting to millions of young women, because it's basically rebellion against God's design for women and families. Taylor used to be beloved by people from both sides of the political aisle, but after becoming so political and fully supporting the left's agenda, there are now many women who are publicly renouncing their former support of Taylor.
Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris, and I'm done. I don't want to be a childless cat lady like her. If you really love the cats, you wouldn't let the migrants eat them as pets. That's why I'm replacing all my stuff with end the wokeness stuff.
Taylor Swift has basically rejected the Christian God she says she believes in. And although she is still certainly an unbelievably popular superstar, she is also losing a large portion of her audience because of who she has revealed herself to be, which is basically someone who stands against traditional marriage and masculinity in general. In August 2019, Taylor Swift released a song titled The Man, where she attempts to point out unfair double standards between men and women.
I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man.
The two main problems with this song are: one, it's an incredibly biased and unfair attack on just men as being basically the oppressors and villains in society, and two, it's not even true since Taylor is a woman and she is richer and more famous than almost every man in the world. With this song, Taylor shows that she is basically a radical feminist who stands against what the Bible teaches about male headship in the church and home, and she will demonstrate this even more clearly in the next clip. During one of her concerts, Taylor Swift had this to say about quote-unquote the patriarchy. But Taylor makes no distinction between actual abuse and simple male headship, which means she's basically against the idea that God designed men to be leaders in society and in the family, regardless of whether it's done in a loving and godly way or not. And as we mentioned before, Taylor's message that the patriarchy is oppressive towards women, who are always the victims of men and never the other way around, is extremely hypocritical.
She had the crowd saying, F the patriarchy. So brave of her. While Taylor Swift, who by the way, has a net worth of $1.3 billion, That's how you know there's a patriarchy in this country. You know there's a patriarchy when a woman can become a billionaire while singing F the patriarchy. You know, just like a general rule, if there is a patriarchy, like there would probably be consequences for running around and saying F the patriarchy, and the consequence would not be $1 billion. No, there is no patriarchy in this country anymore.
In the West, there's actually now an unprecedented discrimination against men, who are seen as the oppressors and villains of society and of history. This is why many companies are now not giving jobs to qualified men so they can have a higher percentage of women in the workplace, even if the women they are hiring are less qualified than the men they are passing over. At the Super Bowl, this footage of Taylor Swift partying with Ice Spice was caught on camera, and it's disturbing for a couple of reasons. Ice Spice is a rapper who has faced criticism for her profane and sexually charged lyrics, which prioritize shock value over substance. Her songs include classics such as Think You the Fart. And in that video clip, not only has Taylor chosen to party with Ice Spice, a symbol of degeneracy in Western culture, and not only does Taylor down an alcoholic beverage, which seems to glorify and promote drunkenness, but during this clip, you can see Ice Spice in the back making what seems like devil hand signs. This clip emphasizes that Taylor's profession of Christian faith doesn't seem to reflect on the way she has chosen to live her life and the people she chooses to associate most closely with. Taylor Swift has a unique influence over millions of people, especially countless women who treat her almost like a goddess. When Taylor's Eras tour went to Brazil, her fans even convinced the country to put this blasphemous image on the Christ the Redeemer statue. Jesus would stand firmly against the messages and positions that Taylor communicates, which makes this association of Jesus Christ with Taylor utterly disgusting and evil. Meat Canyon is an animator who poked some fun at how much Taylor Swift is worshipped among many women.
I'm thinking about breaking up with Taylor.
Wait, you're gonna break up with Taylor Swift? Oh my God.
No. That's not what I said. I'm so sorry. Taylor, look at him. I'm sorry.
This might seem like it's a completely made-up portrayal of Taylor Swift fans, but Taylor's fans, oftentimes called Swifties, have developed a reputation for being extremely fanatical that actually may or may not be too far from what we just saw in Meat Canyon's video. Taylor Swift's Eras tour became one of the highest-grossing tours of all time, drawing millions of fans worldwide and generating unprecedented demand for tickets, ultimately reshaping the concert industry with its immense cultural and economic impact. During one of her Eras tour concerts, Taylor gave this speech regarding Pride Month.
Well, first things first, happy Pride Month, everyone! You know, on this tour, I get to look out into the most stunningly beautiful, brilliant crowds of people who are living their authentic lives, who are loving who they want to love, who are identifying how they identify.
Is this really a Christian thing to say? The Bible is pretty clear that not all kinds of love are good, including the kind of love that Taylor is promoting here.
And right here, the Bible says, do not love. There are some loves that are out of bounds. There are some loves that are unacceptable. In other words, there are some loves that are not truly love.
And allies who support them in that and celebrate them in that. And so being with you during Pride Month, getting to sing the words to "You Need to Calm Down," where there are lyrics like, "Can you just not step on his gown?" or "Shade never made anybody mistake." You guys are screaming those lyrics.
Taylor is proud of her song, "You Need to Calm Down," which is a song that basically tells Christians who believe what the Bible teaches about same-sex behavior being sin, that they need to just calm down and stop believing that. As Taylor said, the song has the lyrics, "Shade never made anybody less." This song and these lyrics are completely anti-Christian and anti-God, since the reality is that teaching people the truth about God's design for human sexuality has in fact opened many people's eyes to repent and turn to faith in Jesus Christ for salvation, which is a good thing.
Right now, and recently, and in the recent years, there have been so many harmful pieces of legislation that have put people in the LGBTQ and queer community at risk. It's painful for everyone, every ally, every loved one, every person in these communities, and that's why I'm always posting. This is when the midterms are. This is when these important key primaries are. Because we can support as much as we want during Pride Month, but if we're not doing our research on these elected officials, are they advocates? Are they allies? Are they protectors of equality? Do I want to vote for them? I love you guys so much, and happy Pride Month, and I adore you, I really do.
Many see what Taylor is saying here as love and tolerance, but from a Christian and biblical worldview, Taylor is actually being absolutely unloving in enabling people in their sin and rebellion against God. God designed marriage and human sexuality to be between one man and one woman, and people who feel attraction towards members of the same sex should not be defined by this attraction. Also, there's something pretty deceptive about what Taylor is saying about using legislation to protect LGBTQ rights. Here's what Ben Shapiro had to say about Taylor's speech that we just watched.
Notice the language here. The language that's pitched to the public is, we just want to be safe. We just want to be left alone. That's not what's happening. Have you noticed that's what's happening in society? They literally lit up the Department of Agriculture with the pride flag. Does that sound like a safe space, or does that sound like an actual religious movement that is seeking to substitute one set of morals for another, that's seeking to supplant truth about human relations and about progeneration and about the decency of certain sexual activity or the utilitarianism of certain sexual activity?
At the 2020 Virgin Atlantic Attitude Awards, here's what Taylor said about advocating for the LGBTQ community.
This is so amazing. I want to say thank you to anyone who had a hand in deciding that I should deserve this. And mostly I want to say thank you to the fans for giving me a platform to make music and to be vocal about the things that I think are right and wrong.
Taylor says she is a Christian, but her views on right and wrong, especially concerning the supposed right to end the lives of preborn babies and the celebration of same-sex behavior, are completely opposed to what God has clearly revealed in the Bible.
I just believe very firmly that everyone should be able to live out their love story without the fear of discrimination. And the way for that to happen is for us to continue to keep pushing governments to put protections in place for members of the LGBTQ community. And I promise to always advocate for that. And I'm just so grateful for this amazing award. Thank you so much.
So Taylor basically wants to use the government to put laws in place for the LGBTQ community. These anti-discrimination laws would inevitably punish Christians who refuse to compromise on their supposed outdated views, forcing Christians to provide services against their conscience, such as baking cakes for same-sex weddings, as Jack Phillips experienced. Jack Phillips is at the center of controversy related to Christians being forced to actively be a part of celebrating a lifestyle they believe to be sin according to the Bible.
So I realized right then that this is not a cake that I'm going to be able to design and create for them. So I tried to apologize to them, say, I'll sell you cookies, brownies, birthday cakes, anything else in my store.
But we weren't in there for brownies for my birthday. We were in there because we needed a cake to serve at our reception.
And at which point they both jumped up, swore at me, stormed out of my shop.
That one encounter at this unassuming cake shop in Lakewood, Colorado,
just your legal fees sake,
propelled both the cake baker and the couple into the center of a scorching national debate.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
That went all the way to the highest court in the land.
Jack has since experienced numerous lawsuits and has had his life turned upside down by people like Taylor Swift who think it's wrong for Christians to have these kinds of convictions on issues like these. So what should Christians think about Taylor Swift? I know that some Christians enjoy listening to Taylor's music because compared to many other artists, such as Ice Spice, Taylor doesn't come across as being as radically degenerate as many other popular music artists and rappers, and her lyrics are typically pretty harmless because they're designed to be marketable to as broad of an audience as possible. I personally wouldn't say that no Christian should ever listen to Taylor Swift's music, but I would definitely warn people about her worldview and agenda, because she as a person stands against many, many things the Bible clearly teaches. I would especially warn parents about letting their daughters listen to Taylor Swift without a lot of discussion and warnings, because it can be really easy for younger girls and women to be sucked into the cult-like following of Taylor Swift, which is both unhealthy and not Christian. The simple truth is that Taylor Swift is not truly Christian, and she still needs to truly repent of sin and turn to faith alone in Jesus Christ alone for her salvation.
So that's just kind of a big picture of the reality. There will be temporary believers who may have an emotional response. There will be some long-term hypocrites who aren't real, but we won't know that until the judgment. There will be people who are apostate.
Hi, my name is Mike. I'm a deacon, a husband, a father, a software engineer, and an amateur maker of videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help me in my mission to spread biblical truth, just subscribe and watch these videos until the end, which will help the YouTube algorithm recommend these videos to more people. I'm committed to using the skills and gifts God has given me to glorify Him and communicate biblical truth, and I would be so grateful if you would come be a part of what I'm building. You can visit my website at joyfulexile.com to learn more about me and what I'm working on. I hope you're having a blessed day. I will see you in the next video, and remember, this world is not our home.